Derek!
That's my line. JB!
Derek, how are you doing?
Good to see you. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Very good. It's a little bricht, as we might say, but at least it's bright.
It is. And where are we today?
Well, today, Derek, we are, of course, here at Windsor Castle.
Well, nothing like Windsor Castle. It's nothing like it. Where are we today?
Well, we're actually here at the Royal Palace at Linlithgow.
We are at the Royal Palace in Linlithgow, JB. And the Royal Palace in Linlithgow, or even the Lithgow Palace, has been a royal residence since the 12th century. And it burnt down in 1424 when there was a great fire. And James I then rebuilt the palace, JB, as a grand royal residence.
You are better than Alexa.
Thanks, I really don't know what to say to that. Anyway, enough of this nonsense. Shall we talk investment?
Let's talk investment.
Great. I was on nicely to, what about the risks in property, JB? I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and there's always risk associated with most investments out there. What are the main risks that investors should be looking at, and fund selectors indeed, when they're looking at particular funds or portfolios?
Yeah, and I think this is where we really get down to the sharp end here for fund selectors. Going back to my earlier point about capital appreciation, the valuation of the property portfolio is absolutely key. Do we feel the fund manager has invested into very expensive properties?
Sure.
Have they invested into properties perhaps near the top of the property cycle?
Yeah.
Does that expose them to unexpected risks, such as a shock perhaps as a result of Brexit? There's a lot of speculation how that might change the forward expected returns for example, the blue chip London city centres, those office spaces. So that's that first part. Secondly, something that's unavoidable with property is liquidity.
Yeah.
Property by its nature is an illiquid asset. So it doesn't matter whether the investor is buying into a single property it owns outright or they're buying into part of it. Generally speaking, when you buy into that property, one, it takes a lot of time to organise that deal.
Yeah.
So that takes a level of time. But secondly, it takes a long time to try and sell out of that position. And so when we talk about liquidity risks in property funds, what we're saying is when investors just suddenly want to try and come out of a property fund en masse, it's just not possible for the fund manager to be able to sell the properties quick enough to cover the redemption. So there is a liquidity risk. And then I think lastly, unavoidable, going back to the net operating income metric I was talking about before, key to any fund buyer is thinking about what is the void rates across the portfolio. They're unavoidable. So firstly, if you're a fund buyer, don't assume that your property is going to have zero void rate. And what is void rate? Void rate is basically when a property is left without a tenant. So it's not generating that income I was talking about. At different points in time, that's going to happen. It happens either cyclically, when property goes through maybe a slump, but it also happens structurally. What happens is investors and tenants enter into long lease agreements, and every now and again, that property is then refurbished, reserviced, and that can then lead to some void rate where you're not necessarily getting that income. Instead, actually the property manager has to then invest more money into it to refurbish the property to attract new tenants. All these things are very important factors for the fund buyer.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And let's have a look now, because there's a number of different offerings out there, JB, and when you're looking at this from a fund selector's point of view, if you're thinking about the actual fund providers themselves, those that manage the property funds, how can they differentiate themselves and present themselves in the best possible light to people like yourself?
In a couple of different ways. I think there's probably one thing that's unavoidable in the property fund sector, and that's one of legacy. Does the fund manager just have a good long tenure of experience? Do they show any innovation in terms of combining different types of property structures? Are they necessarily investing their portfolio with a different shape to their competitors? I think probably one of the key differentiations over the last couple of years have been those fund buyers who have had a smaller exposure to the London city centre versus those that have had higher. And then what we've also seen is fund managers trying to differentiate themselves further by looking further afield, actually looking into, say, Germany and the growing retail and residential property market there, which is referred to as Betongold. It's basically concrete gold. What's happening there is German investors who traditionally would have invested in bunds, which is effectively the German equivalent of gilts, have seen that the long-term expected returns have fallen so greatly that they are now starting to buy property. So again, there's some opportunities there for the fund manager. And then I think the last key area for differentiation is how do we incorporate environmental social governance factors into property? It's actually not as easy as it sounds, because you've got to think about it again from that original deal flow.
Yeah.
How is the property constructed?
Yeah.
How is the property used? And how do we rate the tenant that then uses that property?
Yeah.
Again, we're seeing some innovation funds that are coming through as effectively sustainable cities. They're thinking about the sustainability, they're thinking about the environmental impacts of the property portfolio. I think that's definitely an area of differentiation going forward.
Yeah, great. No, that very important points there, and I hope that people have found that useful. Well, thank you very much for watching the latest video of DB Meets JB. We hope you found this useful. If you did find it useful, if you'd be kind enough just to either give us some comments in the box below, or the thumbs up, I believe it is, JB, the like, we very much would appreciate that. And JB and I are available if you're looking for any assistance on your pitching, presenting, selling strategies, or non-executive director duties. We'd be happy to help you out in that particular area. Thank you very much for watching, and I guess I need some sunglasses now and some sun cream. You wouldn't believe how good the weather is. Thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again at the next DB Meets JB. Thank you.